All right, guys, I wanted to tackle a couple of the topics that you guys voted on for the Sunday Coach Talks. And I'm going to split it up. This first video is going to be focused on the mindset of big lifts. That was that was a popular choice. The other, I'm actually going to type it out for you guys, and you'll see it in the messaging either later today or tomorrow. I do apologize. My voice is going. It's already been a long day, and we're running. So I'm gonna do the best I can, but just try to bear with me as I go through mindset when it comes to lifting. I want to break this down into concepts, and the main reason is if there is something that you can take away to build a system or a ritual or a repetitive effort on your end, then you might be able to find that your individuality will shine through whatever mechanism or thought process or habits that you develop when you're finding success. I know those are a lot of big words, but what I mean is lifting heavy is oftentimes us finding our own way. It's an individual effort that has individual ways of getting there. What I would like to emphasize is consistency and finding what works for you and duplicating that effort over time to create a higher chance of success. So I'm going to break down some of the basics of what I go through when it comes to preparing myself mentally for a big lift. This could be a PR attempt in the gym, or this could be on meet day. Now I don't have it all figured out, even for myself, but this is something that I work on consistently, and it's something that is more of a skill than it is just a adherence to a program or just rallying with your buddies. It is a skill. It's showing up on game day. So I'm going to go through some of the basics. One is often overlooked, and I know I emphasize it a lot, and sometimes it's in one ear out the other, but it is focusing on your breathing, your ability to pull oxygen, utilize that oxygen, and fuel your body for a big lift is vital. It's not just emphasized, it's not just kind of important, but your ability to concentrate on your breathing is vital. So here's what it looks like for me. Steady breathing. Let's just say I'm at the chalk bowl. I'm not under the bar yet. I'm just preparing. Deep, deep breathing. Sometimes a couple really good belly full of air, nasal breathing to slow my system down and focus and align my thoughts on what I want to accomplish. If I focus on the breathing and drawing a deep breath, I find it to be grounding. Consider yourself at work before you step into an office for a big meeting or a big presentation. We take a deep breath. We just naturally have learned that habit, but we forget in the gym. So take your time, take a deep breath. I do a couple big nasal breathes, and I ground myself. It allows me mentally to focus on the task and start pushing away any sort of factors or distractions from entering my mind. If you're wondering what those distractions are, what I consider distractions are to be what time of day it is, what you're wearing, who's in the gym, how your body feels, what the aches and pains are, your fears, last year's meet, last year's lift, yesterday's lift, tomorrow's lift, what your friends are doing, what people are going to think of you, what song you're choosing, which barbell or where you're at. All of those don't matter. Those are intrusive thoughts that are in the way of you and executing. So if you battle those things, that deep breath is the time to practice pushing those thoughts away. Because really, what does matter is your adherence to the cues and execution. So breathing is vital. Big, deep breaths. As I approach the bar and get under the bar, my breathing changes. I'm a big fan of shallow, forceful breathing before I get under the bar. If you guys have been in the gym, either you've seen me, other lifters, maybe lifters that you look up to or watch on YouTube or Instagram. Either way, it's very it's very common to hear like huts or those type of things. What they're doing is they are elevating their blood level. So let's just say I'm getting under a squat bar. Maybe you guys have seen me in the past or my videos where as I'm setting up, you'll hear what I'm doing is I'm forcing air in and out. I'm increasing blood volume and I'm preparing my lungs and my system for tension. So there's a purpose behind it. It's not just to ramp myself up energy wise, but it's to prime my body for a big brace, a big breath without throwing my system off. Let's just say you don't implement breathing, and then I'll drop the subject. Maybe you'll have a tendency to go from 0 to 100 and you get lightheaded. Or you don't quite get a full brace because you are almost too calm. Or you're so amped up that you're not in control of direct and executing breathing that you end up not taking in nearly as much air as you should because you're so amped up with everybody else that you're not focused on what you should be doing, which is methodically breathing to maximize the amount of oxygen you pull in. So that's step one. Breathing is so huge because if that's off mentally, it doesn't really matter where you're at, your body's not going to follow. So we talked about deep breathing. We talked about that shallow breathing before I get into the barbell. It's easy to say, just think of your cues and execute. And I've been there too. Many of you that have competed or have just lifted heavy or attempted PRs know what it's like to feel like, and it's common language for some of you to say, I blacked out during an attempt. I don't remember much, or it happened so fast, or I had tunnel vision. Those are all very normal things. But again, it's a skill that we can practice and learn to harness those moments to our advantage. So here's where the thought process can be more selective and you can take control of what's going through your mind to help you execute in a moment of blackout or hyperspeed or hyperfocus. Let's just call it fight or flight. Your adrenaline is so high, you're facing a stimulus that you've never felt before. You might be feeling crushed under a really heavy weight, and your body and your mind don't know what to do. So they panic. You have intrusive thoughts, your breathing is out of whack, and you end up blacking out because you're not focused on the small things because your body just wants to survive the moment. We've all been there. We just got to recognize it and learn to practice through it, through repetition in the gym and through taking our time with attempts as we're lifting heavy in the gym, taking those really as practice, not just something to post on IG. So if we are in that moment and we're practicing and we own those situations mentally, then maybe our approach is a little bit different. So instead of focusing on just being riled up with the boys or just trying to be as not fearful as possible, then maybe we write a script for our mind. Maybe we come up with solutions instead of asking questions. So if you're afraid of failing, what if I don't make it? What if I fail in the hole? What if? Instead, if you know your body, you know your mind, and you know your habits, maybe already set up a script in your head, even if you're speaking out loud to yourself. I'm not going to miss. I'm going to power through the hole. I don't have a sticking point. I'm going to drive all the way to the top. I'm not going to give up. I don't miss. Those are things that are just intuitively countering what you could be doing to yourself in a self-sabotage way. Mindset-wise, which is kind of the meat and potatoes of this talk, is really up to you. That is something that I cannot step into your brain and dictate for you. I know some people like to find a sense of zen or tranquility or quiet in their brain. Others love the loud. They love the energy. They actually lift better when they feel like others are watching them. That's not an ego thing. That's just a self-driven motivation. If that works for you, that's fine. You're going to have to find a way to replicate that, which could be tough. But if that's something that works for you, then go for it. Even if you are alone in the gym or there's not that energy, if you're a high energy person to match it, maybe picture yourself in a situation where you're lifting at a meet in front of 1,000 people and your family's there and your crew is there. Maybe make that part of your ritual in your mind so that way you can recreate that as much as possible. For me, and I guess my simple advice for those of you who don't know exactly what I'm talking about, or maybe you haven't experienced those blackout moments or those really true push moments, what I like to do is I like to put myself mentally, and I have some things that are fairly scripted in my mind that I go back to regularly. Some are real situations or photos or slideshows that I play for myself in my brain. Others aren't real. They're just situations that I've created where I feel like I have to do it. So I put myself mentally in a situation where my mind going into moving a barbell is that failure isn't an option. Now, some of you guys have faced struggle in life. Some of you have faced absolute hell in moments where being strong was the only option that you had. Maybe recall those moments. Maybe there's a moment in your life where you had to finally stand up for yourself, stand your ground, set boundaries, or fight out of a corner that life put you in, where there was no alternative but you fighting for you. Maybe recall those moments. Not to sound morbid, but some of those can be kind of dark. Those moments where we really have to test our will and our grit and our power in this life are typically hard moments. So, not to sound negative in any way, but sometimes those darkest hour times draw the most powerful version of ourselves. So, I recall those moments. Or when I was saying, I have things or events or slideshows scripted that aren't necessarily real, and I've shared with some of you guys, but if I put myself in a situation mentally where if I lift that barbell, I can see my mom again, or hold her hand again, or if there's a burning building and my son is inside, or there's a car that's on top of a loved one and I have to move it. Those are situations, as dark as they may sound, or as far-fetched as they sound, those would require direct action and no failure. It would require me to execute now, not when it's convenient, not when it's comfortable, not not when the setting is the right way or having the right pair of outfit or shoes or knee sleeves. If there was a burning building, I just saved my son. If there's a car on top of Emily, I just lift the fucking car. So those situations are what I recall in my head before I grab the bar or as I'm setting up, to put myself in a mindset of if I'm going into fight or flight, if I'm going to be facing a situation that I could block out or just kind of cruise through mentally or have tunnel vision, then I'm going to direct the lens. And I'm only going to direct that lens towards something that I know I have to fight for and that failure isn't an option. Now, easier said than done. Some of this is going to require some practice for some of you guys. There are many of you, including myself at times, that are very easily distracted. We have intrusive thoughts that we have not learned how to master yet. So we have to be deliberate and practice. Practice, practice, practice. If you have a barbell movement, 3 sets of 5, that is 15 opportunities to practice. Slow down, eliminate sidebar conversations, ground yourself, take a couple deep breaths, and practice. It's not always going to work. There's going to be certain things that work for you, certain things that don't. That's why when you watch people that do this for a long period of time, the way they set up, the way they communicate, the way that they kind of get into the zone, if you will, is very ritualistic. Rituals they work. If I find a set of movements or actions or steps that work for me, you guarantee I'm going to replicate that as consistently as possible because I want to increase the rate of success. So if you find something that works for you, a thought process, a movement, a setup, ritual, follow that until it doesn't work, and then make adjustments and practice again. And then when you find success, replicate it. I know what I'm saying might sound a little bit crazy. It might sound like something that's like in a perfect world situation, and I don't mean it to. What I mean is to say we have the ability to harness a whole lot of power. The human body will go to depths and distances far beyond what you may understand. You have all demonstrated at one point in your life or another an ability to push far beyond you even thought was possible yourself. We surprise ourselves all the time. It's not so wild to think you can learn to practice that power. Learn what works for you. Learn what mindset gets you in a position where you can find success consistently, and then practice. The last thing is, and this isn't necessarily a mindset as it is more of a decision that you have to make. Strength training is hard. There's no simple way around it. It is a difficult hobby, sport, lifestyle, however you want to write it or explain it. It's difficult. The difficulty isn't in the fact that any individual effort is hard. That's for granted. Of course it is. All the work that we do, all the accessories that we do, the barbell movements themselves, those are hard. But what makes it hard is knowing that it's difficult, knowing that we're not going to feel great when we're done, and then doing it again, and then finding a way to do it better, and finding a way to be more consistent and make it cleaner, make it snappier, make it prettier, add more weight, add more sets, add more volume. That's where things get hard. Some of it's going to come down to intent, is what I'm trying to get at. Your intent in a strong bodied you, knowing that you are challenging yourself with things that are hard, is going to get to a point where it's a must. So if you are a newbie and you're first getting started, learning your strength may not require a whole lot of intent. You're just going to go through the motions, and weight's going to start going onto the bar, and you're going to start developing a new body just in the nature of doing the work. As you progress and as you become a better and stronger and more complete athlete, the ability to just walk in, do the work, and see results is going to start to diminish. And this is where a lot of us fall, or kind of not fall, we fall stagnant. We don't really adhere to intent in everything. And then we're also not weak as a newbie. So we're kind of stuck in this middle land of, I'm not new, but I haven't quite learned to turn it on in all that I do. That's where we get lost a little bit, and that's where the mindset can become somewhat of a struggle, because there's a lot of ups and downs. Well, if we want to keep climbing as a strength athlete, we're going to have to find a way to increase that intent along with your knowledge, your base of muscle, your adherence to cueing, as your abilities go up, so does your intent. So here's what I mean. Let's just break down intent in general terms, and then I'll let you guys get back to your Sunday and I'll get back to work. Intent is zero apprehension every time you touch a barbell. When you touch a barbell, let's imagine you're deadlifting. When you reach down, you set your feet, you do a little tush wiggle, you got your chalk on, everything's all set. When you reach down and your hands wrap around the barbell, that is a contract. That is a contract of execution and effort. When you grab a barbell, you are signing up and you are creating a declaration of not missing. There is no missing. Not when you decide to grab the barbell. You move the weight. The weight doesn't move you. When you grab the bar, you execute every time, and with 100% effort. That is intent. If there is no grabbing the barbell with apprehension, there's no grabbing the barbell with shoulda, coulda, wouldas. There is no, I'm just going to try my hardest. There is no, let's just see how it moves. It's just going to move. So the intent, as you become a more higher ability athlete, has to go up as well. The idea of experimenting with your strength is gone. We know you're strong. You know you're strong. So if there's doubt when you grab the barbell, let go of it. Walk away. Get your shit together, because when you grab that bar, it is a declaration. It is a declaration of I don't miss, and I'm going to move this weight 100% of the time. Even if it means it's slow, even if it means it's a grind, even if it doesn't go the way that I had intended, the intent to move it the way I want to move it, as fast as I want to move it, and as clean as I want to move it, will always be there. If you can start to figure that out, the mindset will start to fall into place much easier. I hope this helps. I hope you guys enjoy your Sunday, and I'll see you on the gym.